The New York Yacht Club's Boat 2 was loaded into a huge Antonov cargo plane, and after a layover in Honolulu, it arrived in Auckland today, September 3, in the early morning. Now it's to the team base to be readied for the oldest trophy in sport, the America's Cup. The only AC-75 on the Hauraki Gulf last Wednesday was New York Yacht Club's Defiance, who braved 20 to 30 knot winds to have a 2-hour training session off Auckland's East Coast bays. The sailing area was a mass of whitecaps, testimony to the wind strength. Conditions were well in excess of the wind limits that will prevail for the Prada Cup and even the 23 knots set for the America's Cup match. Although there are no real-time wind measurement stations off the bays, at the entrance to the Waimata harbor, the breeze was flicking between a 20 to 25 knots average and gusting in the 25 to 30 knot range. After being shorebound for 2 days because of strong winds and heavy rain squalls, today, Wednesday, offered a slight respite, but it was still a surprise to see Defiant launch at 11:30 a.m. and dock out just before 1 p.m. On the training area, the strong offshore wind, while gusty, did not kick up much of a sea state, and Defiant sailed mostly in relatively flat water.
The World on Water is brought to you by Pantania's Sail and Motor Insurance.
This is the Sailing World on Water, September 4, 2020.
It's all about to happen in Auckland. The US Challenger's Boat 2 is now there, and the British and Italians have finished testing, and their boats and teams are also on the way. Very interesting times ahead. First up, we profile the New York Yacht Club's Cooper Dressler, a man of many sports. No wind stops play on day 3 of the 5.5 Metre Europeans in Sanremo, Italy. The Royal Yachting Association offers top tips for windfoiling. Today it's sustained flights. Aspire takes 2 bullets to lead the 5.5 Metre Europeans in Sanremo. World Sailing profiles Australian Matt Belcher, Olympic gold medalist 470 class. The Michele Nogler windsurfing regatta on Lake Garda, Trentino, Italy. Hugo, the Sailing Frenchman, came 9th out of 55 in his qualifying race for the 6.5 Class Mini TransSat next October. INEO's Team UK Moving Parts features Matt Robinson, their Chief Financial Officer, on what it takes to run a team. Now, over to American Magic.
As soon as you lift off, you know, that first moment you lift off, it sort of hits you that you're like, man, I'm really flying right now. When I was quite young, my mom actually got into aviation, She was running a nonprofit that helps promote women in aviation, and so I used to do a lot of flying with my mom. After the America's Cup in Bermuda, I decided I wanted to get my private pilot's license. We'll do a pre-flight check, make sure all the nuts and bolts are secure and you got enough oil in the engine and fuel, and everything has to be kind of perfect, and you go by the checklist, and yeah, it's a really cool process. Now it's to the point where I can fly friends and family around. It's just kind of become an obsession all of a sudden in the last 2 years or less. Traffic 43800, taxi from the FBO to the end of 36 first. Taking off is the most fun part, and similar to foiling, you get that same kind of moment, like, damn, I'm really flying above the water now. It's pretty cool, and there's a lot of parallels with sailing. Things like the weather, you become a weather geek all over again, and just the aerodynamics involved and principles of flight and taking care of your aircraft. It's just like getting ready to do a regatta. You make sure every little thing on the boat, all the little ring dings and everything are in place. Same with an airplane. It's nice to go and do something that isn't sailing, but is still sort of intellectually stimulating or just kind of challenging. Just like sailing, you encounter all kinds of different elements, the weather being the main thing, and then knowing the regulations, knowing what your capabilities are. Any problems you might encounter, there's a high likelihood that you're prepared. And then at the end of the day, it's very relaxing to be up there when all things are going well and just do some flying.
My name is Lucien Cujean. I'm from Geneva. I'm a 49er sailor, and I'm here in Sanremo sailing with Shaolin, helming this fantastic boat, 5.5. It's actually a friend of mine asked me to sail with this team, and I really enjoy these few days. Regatta with 5.5 class. I think it's a very rare to sail it is such a nice boat and very technical boat. I only have 3 days now here in Sanremo, but since my childhood I always looking star class or 5.5 class racing around on the lake or outside Switzerland, and I think I always feel like it's a great opportunity to be able to race on this boat, and I think I'm very lucky to be here.
I was invited to helm this boat 2001, still belonging to another owner. And when I took it over, half an hour later, the first start to the International Championship in Flensburg started. And at the first weather mark, we were #1, before Jochen Schwiemann and so on. So I immediately got a very nice feeling to this boat, and was quite happy to have it run that championship, World Championship. This boat is constructed by Ben Lexon and Warren Moore, and he was the famous designer for the America's Cup Challenger Australia too, and he had this very sloped keel, and it is a boat which is good for rough weather, waves, and it's doing very well.
So here we are, welcome to one of the most recent 5.5 meters in the modern fleet. This boat is under a year old. It's our second regatta. Foot straps to high count, with the attachment coming up with tacking jib, and the jib like the halyard, the tack cap. That's a wheel here you can turn 3 degrees to 3.5 maximum. Change the J measurement of the boat by pulling back, and we just can open it by pulling here. So it's a nice space. When the water level touches a certain height, then the floater gets there. The water just goes straight out. Great boat to sail because it can be trimmed very neutral for the helm, almost too neutral sometimes, which means that just the feeling helming these boats is so superb, and you do pretty much everything on the rig, on the sails to achieve that feeling for the helmsman. And I guess that's one of the main reasons a lot of 5.5 sailors love their boat, because it's just a fantastic feeling to helm it.
Once we've got past our first flights, we're looking to get into the best stance and the best rig position to maintain level flight across the water.
So now I'm up and riding, I'm really focusing on hinging at the waist, trying to push my hips out, and I'm locking through my back leg to keep me and the rig on top of the board. My rig and my upper body are upright. My rig will always reflect my upper body. What that means is if the board moves up, the rig and I move up the same amount. My back leg is really locked, and I'm trying to keep my legs pretty straight. They can bend, but I'm not letting them be bendy. So they're staying pretty rigid, so I don't upset the trim of the foil. As I go faster, I sheet in more. I'm trying to keep the rig as still as possible. Again, through hinging at the waist and locking out the back leg with a locked down back heel. So one common way of crashing is when my knees get too soft and the board rolls to leeward. You see here, if I let my knees bend, the board gets pretty unstable. And that's why I keep my legs locked down and my kneecaps pushed backwards.
We tend to only fall in a couple of different ways when we're trying to get our first sustained flight runs. This often happens by being too soft and too flexed through the knees and too flexed through the legs. An easy way to combat this is look at boom height. If the boom's too low, we'll tend to be too soft in the legs and often roll to leeward, or even drive too hard, come too high and fall to windward. With a higher boom, we can be in a more upright stance, and this helps us get this all-important hinge position, which allows us to trim the board flat and sustain flight.
If I'm sailing really overpowered, an easy way to get the lift off the foil and in more control is bring the back foot out and in front of the foot strap. With the back foot further forward, I get nowhere near as much lift, and even in the most overpowered conditions, I can sail like this pretty in control most of the time.
The World on Water is brought to you by Pantania's Sail and Motor Insurance.
Great start at the first race, so we got off the first one. We came, and I would say we had this up, down, and at each of these lines we got a bit more over the other boats. So we did both the top line very well and down. So that was quite, I would say, surprising for us, because when we kind of used the spinnaker tool, which we thought might be a little bit too strong for that. But we are actually quite successful, and we're very happy. Second ride, we went to the top line at the second or the third boat, and we're really fighting a lot against Karkal, which was doing an amazing job. But then at the end we managed to overtake them, and we came first, I would say probably by half of the boat.
to hard races. It was tough, lot of choppy waves. It's not our, what you might say, our best conditions, but we did some good choices, and we had some good starts, which helped us a lot. But we were struggling. It was not easy day. It was a lot of concentration for the poor helmsman. It's tough on the helmsman on these conditions because we have choppy waves and not so much wind, very shifty wind. So, but all in all, I'm happy with the day. The last race tomorrow is going to be an interesting one. We take the back.
Hi, it's Matt Belcher here from Australia. Sailor 470 with Will Ryan, silver medal in the Rio Olympics. Obviously 1 year to go again, brings back a lot of Olympic memories, and to come away with a silver medal was an amazing experience, and one that we really saviour. And I really hope that the games can obviously go ahead next year, and the extra delay has been pretty challenging for all. Just to regroup, understand what that means, and how that changes your training and your competition schedules. You can probably hear the kids in the background, a lot more family time, which has been amazing for me. And I know that the next 12 months is going to be a different journey than the last Olympic preparations. But we're being creative, and we're really hoping that we'll be able to get back into competition as quickly as we can, and regroup with the rest of the fleet. So I know it's been challenging with everyone, and we're really looking forward to getting through to the other side, and representing Australia, and hopefully in 1 year's time can walk into that opening ceremony and be ready to go, just as we were this year.
Good morning everyone, I have just finished my first race, 2 or 3 days ago now. I just came to tow out this friend out from the harbor, and just finished this first race. It's super cool. I finished 9th overall out of 55 boats, so that's pretty cool. I'm really happy about this, and I just wanted to let you know that the project is going forward. I still don't have found any sure financing. There's some companies interested and everything, so I've been asked a lot if you guys could give me a hand, a Patreon or something. Yes, you can give me a hand. So I've set up a crowdfunding page on Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. The idea is to try to get some money to get me through the first months of the project, so I can carry on renting the boat, registering to the race, pay for some equipment, for some coaching, until I find a sponsor. Finding a proper sponsor takes time. It's kind of a long process. So if you want to give me a hand, please have a look on the link that I'll put in the description below. Have a look at the project. There is a few rewards. If you're not interested into rewards, there is also the possibility to just donate what you can and what you want. There is some reward. I try to make a few fun ones, so if you're interested into that, have a look as well. And yeah, so if you guys want to give me a hand, thank you so much. That's amazing. It will help me carry forward with the project while all this global situation crazy settles a little and companies trust again to sponsor offshore racing. So yeah, thank you so much for this. Have a look at the crowdfunding, and now this episode that is coming, I'm really looking forward to show it to you. There is some crazy drone footage that I'm super happy about, so enjoy.
In the last episode, I was on my way to Ireland to run the Conin Bay Cardinal Mark. After a bit more than 12 hours at high speed under spinnaker in the fog, I was about to get really lucky.
So the wind has just backed about 100 degrees as I was going around the mark, kind of. So that's great, because I came here flying spinnaker and I'm leaving here flying spinnaker pretty much.
Hi, I'm Matt, I'm the CFO for Ineos Team UK and run the finances and the support team. There's no question that you need a pretty hefty budget to compete in this game. And as you find developments, you need to be able to afford to grab them. But it's not all about the money, it's not about having an unlimited budget, because the one thing you can't buy is time. You need to spend your resources carefully. The people we work with are at the top of their game, and that's been brilliant. You see people who are focused, who are incredibly talented, and working among those people, and the dedication that is shown in the team is something else. Yeah, everyone needs the focus in the team, and so with a strong support team, they can help people to focus on what they're doing. The one big key for this campaign is that we've had our financing guaranteed up front, which has been a huge benefit for us, that you can set your strategy from the word go. It's actually been a huge benefit for the team that you know the size of the team you can afford for the whole campaign, you know what you can buy. I have to make sure that we come within budget because there's a finite amount of money. Hopefully within that I can help us to win the Cup too. I'd be so proud to be part of this. It would be such an achievement. It'd be the proudest moment of my career if we could do this.
The World on Water is brought to you by Pantania's Sail and Motor Insurance.